Hello me lads, Sodozir here with another video. Today's video is a bit of a different video. I want to talk about a bronze card today. I know the new patch is coming up and I really hope this card is getting fixed because I like its design very much. But I don't really think so. So which card are we going to talk about? It's a Skeleton Bronze card and it's the Hemaey Skald. So let's look at the card, what it does and what it is. It's a 4 strength unit which can be played on any row. It gets buffed every round by 1 because of its veteran status. So it's a 6-point buddy in the last round. And its ability is that you buff up 3 adjacent units to your left by 3, 2, and 1. So this makes it a card of a total value of 10 or up to 12. So what makes this card bad? I looked this card up on Gwent, and it's only included in 5% of all Skellige decks made. The problem with this card is there are other cards that make its job better, that do its job better. There are mainly 2 components of this card. First, buffing and getting high value out of it. And a 10 to 12 bronze card isn't that great. The other effect it has is that it staggers the strength of the 3 units it buffs, because it doesn't buff all on with the same amount. It buffs for 3, 2, and 1. So if you have 3 adjacent units that are the same strength, you play the Skald and they are getting staggered, so they aren't harmed by a Igni or a Scorch that much anymore. Well, let's go over the problem with the value. When we look at the neutral cards, we have Thunderbolt Potion. Thunderbolt Potion buffs 3 adjacent units by 4, so it buffs by for 12 at a whole. So it's right from the start of the game as useful as Hemaey Skald is as in the last round. And normally, if you have something that is a neutral card and compare it to something that is faction specific, the faction specific card should be better. For example, the Crones are 6, 6, 8 strength and are faction related to monsters, and they are the neutral option, that is witches. They are 5, 5, 7. So Crones are more worth. In that case, you could pick Thunderbolt Potion over Hemaey Skald if you only want to go for the value of the card. That's one problem. You have a more consistent and better card that is neutral instead of a faction-related card. The other problem is with the faction of Skellige itself. As I said, you can stagger the strength of 3 adjacent units. So let's look at which cards play usually as a threesome or lay next to each other. Well, first thing that comes to mind are Queen's Guards. But the problem with Queen's Guards is you mostly play Queen's Guards with Bran. You discard them from your deck, and 2 of them get buffed anyways, and you want to keep 1 in hand, so they are at 4, 5, 5 anyways. Then you play Drake Bondu in some decks, so you buff them up anyways. And no, you don't buff them, you strengthen them, which makes a Drake Bondu in a discard Queen's Guard deck much more useful than a Hemaey Skald. Yes, it is a silver card, but this is what you mostly run. And they are staggered anyway, so the stagger effect doesn't really comes to play that much when you wanna combine him with the Queen's Guards. Then you have the Clan Drummond Shield Maidens, which are 3 adjacent units. They have the same strength, but usually you don't really have a reason to stagger their strength, because nobody would try to scorch them, and even if Skellige mostly doesn't play anything in the ranged row that is lesser than 3 points. You have something like Dona Anhinda, but he is over that strength anyway. So if you want to protect them from an Igni, which you usually don't want to because they are a 3 strength card, they are much more value, but that isn't the point. So playing Hemaey Skalds with them is not what you really want. And if you go over the rest of the cards there, you have Clan and Crate Raiders, but usually you don't play all 3 of them at once. Or at least not if you're running Queen's Guards. Maybe if you play Bran and you discard all of them from your deck, but that is rarely the case. Then the other units you have are mostly agile, so you don't really play them next to each other. There are very few occasions where you could use Hemaey Skald for anything very useful. For example, if you have 3 Clan Brokwa archers combined with Toradov shieldsmiths, or with the boat. No, not with the boat staggers anyways. So the main problem is, to sum it up, there are bronze cards who are more consistent and stronger than the Hemaey Skald, and the stagger effect doesn't come to play in Skellige as a faction. So how could CDPR change this card to make it more viable? In my opinion, they could tune the numbers up a bit. So the veteran status can stay. It's fine. But if you give them 4-3-2, the identity of the card is completely fine. But you have a 13 to 15 strength card, which would be much more useful than a Thunderbolt potion in that situation. So if you tune the numbers a bit, they would see more play, I guess. So yeah, I really like the design of that card. I think it's only in a very bad spot because its effect doesn't really come off as powerful as they could be. So I hope you guys liked, and I really liked my video, and I really would love to hear your opinion about the Hemaey Skald as a card, because I find its design very interesting, but sadly it isn't played very often. Yeah, that wraps up that video. Leave your opinion in the comments, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.